in the lives of us as Christians. Because if we include God more often, he can bless us all the more. If you find more time for God, God will make more ways for you. So we need to have that made up in our minds, that God will have a more active role in our lives, and not just our lives, but our decisions. Sometimes we make life-altering decisions without ever consulting God. And some of those things that we do could be the worst mistakes we'd ever make. But he would show us that we didn't need it in the first place if we just asked him about it before we decided to do it. You know, we take some jobs because they got all the benefits in the world, but then we go Monday through Friday and we are miserable in that job. That's because that was never the job that God had intended for you to do in the first place. We choose some schools to go to because we saw them in movies and our friends went there. But if you'd have listened to God and prayed about that decision, he would have sent you to a place of higher education where he could have provided blessings for you, and you'd have been far beyond your understanding and could have left your friends in the dust. But instead, we're settling. We settle as Christians, we settle as churches, and it's tired. It's tired. So God needs a more active role in our lives and in our decision making. And we need to invite more people into relationship with God. So that's making up in our minds that we're going to be more vocal about this. This is where we gather. Like he told you, he came here and found family. And we know people who struggle every day with terrible relationships, terrible friendships, and all you have to say to them is, come with me to church. That's all you have to say, because you've done your job once you give the invitation. If they choose not to come, that's on them. But you've done your job as a Christian to invite them into the relationship with God. It's a terrible thing to be receiving all these blessings and never tell somebody. And I don't know about you, but God has been so good to me that I just can't keep it to myself. The ways that he's made for me, I got to run and tell somebody. And then when you're telling them about it, you got to make it sound so good because it is that good that the person says the offer is just too good to turn away. Because if you can tell them about the God who sits on high and looks down low, who gave you the house, the car, the job, the kids, the keys, the family, who put you through school, who got you scholarships, who picked you up when you fell down, who wiped your tears in the midnight hour and made everything feel like nothing had ever went wrong in the first place. If you could tell people about God in that kind of way, if you say, listen, just sit back and understand me. I want to explain to you just what God has done, but I can't find words for it. So I just want to tell you that he's been good. And if you can sell God like that, then I guarantee you there's not a person that would ever turn him away, because they're going to wonder what it is about your relationship and want to have that same relationship. I love the commercials that just make food seem so irresistible. Anytime McDonald's shows the burger and the bread is on the bottom and it's all toasted and hot and steamy, then they put a burger on top of it and it's all juicy and real thick. You got the cheese on top and the onions and lettuce and tomatoes, and you just looking at it and the little drool rolls off the side of your face, and you say to yourself, if I don't get dressed and get in my car and run to McDonald's and try that third-pound Angus burger right now, then I'm not going to be the same again. You have to sell God just like that, because God is just that good. He sounds that good. He feels that good. And I can imagine that the day I get to see his face, he's going to look that good. But has God been good to you? Somebody understands that God is the greatest commercial and the greatest show and the greatest movie and the greatest event, the greatest spectacle that you could ever be a part of. And I don't know about y'all, but it's been so good that anybody I ever tell about can be sold on the fact that their lives will never be the same again if they just try him for themselves. You go into the stores and try the free samples of perfume, and the way that they sell it to you, they put it on a little piece of paper and say, take a whiff of that. Now go home and let your boyfriend smell you. I bet you he won't be able to let you go. It's that good. It's that good. Go ahead. Get a whiff of how good God is. I bet you won't be able to let him go. We need to provide that kind of invitation. That's the kind of invitation that we need to give to the people who don't know about it. And it works the same way with the classes that you take. I don't like professors who just sit up and talk and talk and talk and point and tell us to read. You got to make it exciting for me. If it's not exciting for me, I don't want to do it. If it's not exciting for you, you don't want to go. Who looks forward to a board meeting? Don't worry, I'll wait. Nobody. But I bet you if somebody said, hey, let's go to Six Flags right now, watch them kids jump up out the bed. On Christmas morning, don't you think they were excited to see those gifts? Put God under the Christmas tree. Wrap him up real good. Make that the greatest gift that somebody could ever open. That's the way you got to do it. So make the invitation that you give to God, have it made up in your mind that God has been so good to you that you're going to extend the greatest invitation to everybody you come across. I just need a second of your time to tell you how good God has been to me, and then you come see the relationship that I had with him. Is that all right? Because sometimes I understand. It's easier to extend an invitation to a party than it is to church. But why? This is the greatest party I've ever been to. So if you want to invite somebody to a party, invite them to the Holy Ghost party. Because what did we say? Ain't no party like a Holy Ghost party, because the Holy Ghost party don't stop. It don't stop. So just sell it good. Sell it good. Real estate agents, advertising, marketing people. Who does marketing in here? Let's get the campaign together and get this ball rolling. Choose you this day who you will serve. As for me and my house, we gonna serve the Lord. That means I have it made up in my mind that Queens Chapel is gonna be a better church. And for people who are visiting from your home churches, you take this back to them. Tell them you have it made up in your mind that that church is going to be the best church that they could possibly be. That y'all are going to start making the news. Y'all are going to start making the papers. Y'all are going to make the people run and tell. We have it made up in our minds that we're going to be better churches. And these churches are going to be better than the liquor stores that sit across the street from the churches. We're going to be better than all of the novelty shops that exist around us. We're going to be better than all of the opportunities that people have to get into the wrong things. We have it made up in our mind that we're going to be better churches. We have it made up in our minds that we're going to be better people. I have it made up in my mind that I'm going to stop talking about you and you and you. I have it made up in my mind that I'm going to stop procrastinating. I have it made up in my mind that I'm going to give God a lot more of me because he's given more to me than I deserve. I have it made up in my mind that I'm going to get up out of bed on Sundays if I could party all night on Saturday. I have it made up in my mind that I'm not going to wait till the last minute to get my work done and then hold it off till Sunday so I have a reason to not be in church. I have it made up in my mind that God is going to be at the forefront of my life, and anyone who doesn't understand that can get behind me. I have it made up in my mind that I'm gonna live this life just the same way I drive my car. I have a windshield and I have a rear view mirror, but the rear view mirror is much smaller than my windshield. That's because I'm constantly looking forward, and every now and then I look through the rear view just to make sure that there's no danger behind me. I have it made up in my mind. I have it made up in my mind that I'm going to start to check up on people, because I know that there's some people who don't have friends and who don't have family, and they need to hear a word from somebody. They need somebody to call on the phone and cry with. They need somebody to call and pray for them. They need somebody to visit them in a sick bed. So I have made up in my mind that I'm going to be a better friend to the friendless. I'm going to be a provider for the homeless. I'm going to be a better mother. I'm going to be a better father. I'm going to be a better Christian. I have it made up in my mind that no longer will I let these worldly things get the best of me, because I serve a God who is better than anything that this world has for me. The world didn't give it to me. They can't take this joy I have. I have it made up in my mind. I have it made up in my mind that the mistakes I made yesterday are not going to affect my tomorrows. I have it made up in my mind that while I don't have the job I want, I have a job that I can work with, and it's making just a way out of no way. If I have a roof over my head and food in my stomach, then I've made up in my mind I'm going to be satisfied with that, because there are some people out there who are wondering where their next meal is going to come from. I have it made up in my mind that I'm going to stop complaining when people don't do everything that I ask them to do, and my kids don't do everything that I tell them to do, because God blessed us with beautiful children. God blessed us with beautiful families, so we have to have it made up in our minds that we're going to work with them. You have to have it made up in your mind that you're going to start to listen to your parents. They have been here before you. They're going to be here for you. They're providers for you, so you have to respect and understand them, but get it made up in your mind. Also make it up in your minds that you're going to start to do your work. I know about some of your GPAs, and I'm going to bust you in the mouth. But you have to have it made up in your mind that you're going to be better. You're going to be better. Listen, your friends are going to try and tell you that there are a bunch of things that you don't need and they're worthless. Your friends are not really your friends if they don't have it made up in their minds that they're going to help you be the best you that you could possibly be. And the same thing goes for you out there. If the people that you call friends are not helping you be the best you that you can possibly be, make it up in your mind that your relationship can exist no longer. If you're in a relationship with your significant other and they are not making you a better you, they're not praying for you, they're not there for you when you need them, they're not answering the phone, they're not texting you back, make it up in your mind right now that you deserve better. If you knew better, you do better. And we have it made up in our minds that Queens Chapel is not going to be the same complacent church that exists in other places. What God has for us, it is for us. We are going to be in the blessing business from this day forward. So in the month of February, we're going to have it made up in our minds that God is on fire and we are on fire for him. March, we're gonna have it the same way, made up in our minds that we are ready to do whatever God calls us to do to make it happen for everybody on the outside. And if we get to that new church in April, are we gonna have it made up in our minds that we are gonna shout from the time we open the doors till the time they tell us to come and close it. And if we get our ways, they will never tell us to come and close the doors, because we have it made up in our minds that God did this for us. So we got some things that we need to do for him. Do you have it made up in your minds today? Do you have it made up in your mind today? Do you have it made up in your mind today? Stand up on your feet. Make up in your minds that you are not the same person that you were before you came here. Make up in your minds that you are going to do anything that God calls you to do. Make up in your mind that you're going to pray just a little harder. Make up in your mind that you're going to sing just a little louder. Make up in your mind that you are going to shout just a little longer. Make up in your mind that you are going to cry just a little harder, just to get the problems out your souls. Make up in your minds that you are going to complain no longer, because if it wasn't for you, God didn't give it to you. And if he wants you to have it, guess what? You gonna get it. Make up in your minds that this is the last day that the devil will get the best of you. Make up in your minds that everything that God has for you is for you. Choose you this day. Choose you this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, as for me and my heart, as for me and my soul, as for me and my church, we're going to serve the Lord. See, I made up in my mind that I was going to come to church today and preach a sermon that may hurt somebody's feelings, but I can guarantee you the person's feelings who I hurt is going to be a much better person today. Because if it doesn't affect you, then you can't change from it. But I know a God that can affect anything that I ask him to. And sometimes he'll affect the things that I don't ask him to. But you know why? It's for the better of me. Let God be your washing machine. Let him get in there and agitate. Let him get in there and agitate you just a little bit so that you can get the dirt cleaned up off of your bodies. And let them get so good. Let them fester up in you. Let yourself start real low. And then watch God pick you up, and make you real high. Watch him put you above the rest. If you wanted the job, you got it. But only if God has it for you. Have it made up in your minds today that today and tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after will be the best days of your life. Does anybody out there have their minds made up? If your mind is made up, you want to put your hands high in the air. You want to jump up and down. You want to scream and shout. You want to call out the name Jesus, because there is no sweeter name I know. Nobody has done me like Jesus. The God I serve is so good. He's good. And I have it made up in my mind today that this is the rest of the days of my life, and they're going to be better than any days I had before. May the best of your todays be be the worst of your tomorrows if you haven't made up in your minds. Somebody say it.